When you're starting out in your board career, it's absolutely crucial that you get the first couple of board seats right. And I often talk to my clients about the need to have stepping stone board appointments. These are the appointments that give you your start in your board director life, but will enable you to move on to higher profile, more complex business opportunities into the future. And, the reality is almost everyone I see who is in the board director space start out relatively modestly. And there's a rule of the game that each board appointment that you secure leads to another appointment. So usually when we sort of are starting out, we're starting out in either small private enterprise, or we're starting out with a small government board, or we may be potentially starting out with a small, not-for-profit charity or an industry board, which is going to give us our first foray into our experience. Now, it's important when you look at those appointments that you are a little bit, cognizant of the fact that you've got to make sure that that appointment looks fabulous on the CV. You need to make sure that the people you would be working alongside are really experienced board directors and would enable you to learn from them on the job, so to speak. And it's going to lead to another appointment. So the networks that you're going to gain are going to be really helpful. So it is crucial that you pay real close attention to the appointment itself and, what's in it for me, so to speak. You've really got to have a look at the two-way composition here. Obviously, even at, the smaller end of town, these roles are still highly competitive. So don't think it's just easy to secure a not-for-profit appointment. Increasingly, we're finding that the charities are very discerning about the appointment of board members. There's quite a complex process that will often sit alongside that. So it's not a gimme that you're going to be able to secure these smaller appointments, but you do need to think strategically and identify roles that will enable you to obviously showcase your unique value proposition, roles that you would enjoy fulfilling, and then will obviously lead on to another appointment. There is a bit of a truth to the fact that, those initial few board appointments, are going to dictate the theme of the board career. Another comment I'm going to make, which again is a little bit controversial, but I'm seeing a lot of female candidates that have been kind of trapped in the cycle of just doing unpaid, particularly not-for-profit board work. And there is a huge myth in the market that if you do not-for-profit charities, that suddenly at some point it's all going to convert naturally to commercial board seats. And that is a complete myth. And I cannot tell you how many clients come to me and they're telling me they've done 3, 4, 5 years of unpaid not-for-profit work and they cannot cross the chasm. They cannot secure a commercial board appointment. And so you have to be really careful about your pathways in the early days. So I'm certainly not against doing a volunteer board role. I'm certainly not against serving on a charity or an industry board, but you don't need several of those appointments. And conversely, a better pathway might be to go through more onto the private enterprise side of the equation. So startups, upstarts, private companies, family-run businesses that are putting together advisory boards, businesses that are of a certain size that are trying to grow. That commercial experience might be very, very valuable. And I often counsel my clients that if you go and serve on a startup or an upstart, 1 year on those boards is the equivalent of 3 years business as usual in a regular kind of boardroom setting, because what happens in that year is you're raising capital, you're opening up into new markets, you're dealing with private equity partners, you're trying to commercialize a business, you're trying to open up, and it's fast paced typically in that environment, so you learn a lot along the way. So maybe get the balance right between which pathways do you pursue, because that early stage high potential private enterprise is an excellent pathway. You don't just have to follow what everyone's telling you to do, which is go and serve on these not-for-profits and suddenly it's all going to work out magically well down the track. sometimes it doesn't. So particularly for my female clients, just be super careful about how much unpaid work you're doing in the board market, because at some point you're going to want to try and really commercialize, and the earlier you can do that, the better, because that again is going to lead to other appointments of a commercial nature.